Hey students, this is lesson 3.7, equations of line on coordinate plane. This is actually a review lesson, something you've learned last year, but it's important for geometry also. Go ahead and do the review and I'll catch up with you. All right, first thing we want to review here is how to find the slope of a line. And what we're going to use for that is, we want to remember that slope is the ratio of rise to run, which when you're given coordinates, you can find it by subtracting the y coordinates, and then subtract the x coordinates and divide those. The difference in the x coordinates is the run, the difference in the y coordinates is the rise. So line A, we would use these points 1, 3 and negative 2, 3. The second number in the ordered pair is the y value, so I'm going to do 3 minus negative 3 divided by 1 minus negative 2. And that equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So that's line A. Line B. For line B, you could pick any 2 points to find this if you wanted to use the slope formula. But a flat line has no slope, so I don't think we need to do the slope formula to understand that the slope is 0 for line B. All right, you try that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is review a couple forms of lines, the slope-intercept form and the point-slope form. In the slope-intercept form, we use the slope and the intercept to create the equation. In the point-slope, we use the slope and any point on the line to create the equation. So if we graph this first one, we have to recognize the form it's in. This is slope-intercept. And for slope-intercept, that's this form, y equals mx plus b. The letter m represents the slope, and the b represents the y-intercept. So for this problem right here, there's your y-intercept. It needs to be written in that form to know that the y-intercept is -1, and that actually is the point 0, -1. So I'm going to plot that on my graph right there, 0, -1. And then I'm going to use the slope to find another one. Remember that slope is rise, the ratio of rise to run. So a rise of 1 means go up 1, and a run of 2 means go right 2, because it's positive 2. So from the point on the y-axis, I'm going to go up 1 and right 2, and I end up right there. Up 1, right 2 again, it's right there, and then I just draw a line through that. And that'll look something like that. Get rid of that line. Okay, and in the point slope form, a little bit different. We are going to understand that this is the slope, it's point slope form, and the other 2 parts represent a point on the graph, the other 2 numbers. And remember that the point slope form looks like this. So it's actually subtraction. So the point in this equation here is the numbers being subtracted. So in here, actually -2 is being subtracted, so the x-coordinate is -2, and over here, 2 is being subtracted, so the y-coordinate is 2. Oops, I wrote that down wrong. The x-coordinate is -4. Okay? So -4, 2. So I'm going to find that point on the graph, -4, 2. And that point is right there. And then I'm going to use my slope, which is -2/3 for my rise and run. I'm going to put the negative on top, which means I'm going to go down 2 and right 3. So down 2, right 3 gives me a point there. I can do that again. Point there, draw a line to the points, and that's my graph. All right, you could try that. All right, we're going to write a couple equations now with the information given. In the first problem, we're given that the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is 4, and we want the equation in slope-intercept form. So that looks like this: y equals mx plus b, and m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. So we can just substitute our slope 2 in for m, and our y-intercept is 4. Substitute that, and we have the equation. For the second part, we want the equation in point-slope form, and that's this one. And we are given that our slope is -1, so we're going to substitute that for m. And our point is 3, -7. So x is 3, y is -7. So we need to subtract -7 from y and subtract 3 from x. And if we simplify that, we get y plus 7 equals -1 times quantity x minus 3. All right, you can try that. All right, the next thing we're going to do is write an equation in point-slope form using 2 points. So here's one of my points is -2,5, and my other point is 4, -4. For point-slope form, we need to know the slope, so let's get that first, and that's subtract the y-coordinates to get the rise, subtract the x-coordinates to get the run. And so that would be 5 minus -4 divided by -2 minus 4. And that's 9 over -6, which is -1.5. So my slope is -1.5. So I'm using this form. And I now know my slope. And so the only other thing I need is a point to put in for my x sub 1 and y sub 1. And the point I'll use, I'll just pick this first one here. So the y value is 5, so subtract that there. The x value is -2, subtract that there. And you can just simplify that. Make that subtraction and adding. Got an extra parentheses there that we don't need. All right, try that. All right, the last thing we're going to do is talk about writing equations of horizontal and vertical lines. What are the equations for the horizontal and vertical lines through point 1,7? I'm going to change that because 1,7 doesn't show up on this grid, so I'm going to just, let's do the point 2,3 instead, which is right here. And the horizontal line, I'm going to draw those so we can see what we're doing here. So here's the vertical line, here's the horizontal line. Now the slope of the horizontal line right here is, the slope is 0, so it's a flat line. So if we put it in slope-intercept form, we get y equals 0 times x plus the y-intercept is 3. And 0 times x is 0, so it's just y equals 3. And if you think about every coordinate on that line, the y value of every one of those coordinates is 3, so it makes sense. And then using that same thought process, every x coordinate on this line is 2. So our equation for that line is just x equals 2. So x equals 2 here, y equals 3 there. All right. Go ahead and do the, got it? Okay, go ahead and do the lesson check, and we'll talk about that next time we meet in class.